I just had somebody text me this like this week. They literally said, I'm getting my ass kicked with this business model. It's just not working for me. And I said, oh, that's interesting. How long have you been doing it? Like, well, I started in December. And I'm like, am I supposed to, like, what do you want me to say back to that? You started in December? You know what I mean? It's like, for those of us that have been grinding away for years, like, I have zero sympathy. What did you expect? Did you expect to just like start this business model? The next month you're making millions of dollars. Your problems are all solved, and there's no stress. Like, come on, dude. Well, let's talk about that for a second, Marie, because the people like you and I that actually have to figure it out. I'm not the smartest dude. I can't go and figure out how to get to $35,000 a year. It took me years to figure this out. How do you not give up? How do you keep grinding when you're 4 years into it and you're like, man, maybe this isn't the model. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Talk about that for a second, because I know you've had those doubts. I had those doubts, and I know people listening to this have had those doubts. Let's talk about it.
I mean, the way I got through it is I want it so bad. I've tasted the laptop lifestyle. I spent 3 years just traveling to different countries. It was mostly on savings. I was also doing some photography at the time. So I knew what that felt like. I knew how much joy it brought me. And that's what I wanted for my life. And seeing everybody else's success, everything they were posting. And also a big factor was the fact that, you had so much debt when you started. I've also accumulated some debt. And to me, that's super scary. But seeing, that you were able to push through it and so many people were able to push through it, I was like, I'm not any different. I might feel like I have some curse or something, but logically, I'm no different than anybody else doing this. And if I just take those actions, again, that's also being consistent, every single day, taking some actions, moving the needle forward, keeping your goals in mind. All of that together just really helped me to get through those tough times where, I would just worry, like, what happens if I have to go home, move back to Utah, get a job, all of this stuff that I really didn't want to do. And along with that comes mindset. I had to switch my mindset to say, no, why would I think that any of these negative things or, less than optimal things are going to happen for me? And just getting rid of all of that, getting rid of the worry, getting rid of these what if thoughts, thinking about jobs, it's not serving me. And so I try to really, when I catch myself doing that, I try to stop and think no, what is the best outcome? What do I want? What do I see happening in my life? And, up until this point, the other day in one of your lives, you were talking about, your perfect day. Having that and seeing those things come to fruition is the ultimate motivation. I had several of those things come to fruition before I would call this a big breakthrough moment. I was already seeing those things happen. And again, that gives me more fuel, more motivation to just continue on. I have been feeling for about the last 6 months that I was just on the verge. If I just keep doing this and keep giving it my all, that I'll get there. And I feel like I finally am in a place where I can take a breath and I'm like, oh, I'm really doing it now.
It's awesome when you see something that you've been trying so hard to do and it finally actually I think it makes it more sweet. What I was thinking the whole time you were just talking was, is that something that you can teach to people? I call this stick-to-itiveness, right? Because I think the problem with so many people, at least that I've seen so far, in watching people come to the free group, watching people take the free training, watching people comment on YouTube, watching people come through the program, watching people in other programs that I've been a part of. So many people have never done something hard and they've never finished anything. They don't know how to finish and they've never been held accountable. And so they don't know what it's like. They don't know how to persevere. They don't know how to push through the hard time. Do you think that's something that can be taught, or it's something that you've either learned by the time you're 18 to 20 years old, or you've either learned it or not? I don't know the answer to that, because, I hope for my kids that I teach them that when you say you're going to do something, you do it. I don't think most people have that. I think a lot of them, the second it gets hard, they quit. But this is the kicker, is they blame everybody else around them besides them, right? It's oh, now rank and rent saturated. Oh, ads are being different. They used to work better than they do now. Oh, I don't speak English as a first language, or I live out of the country, or insert whatever BS excuse, and that's what they give. Do you think it's something that can be taught?
Definitely. I mean, especially through the example of others, you know, like surrounding yourself with people who have that will help you to see what actions they're taking and how they're getting through it. I think that's probably the best way for people to teach it. And I can say from experience, when I was younger, I didn't have any of that. Like I mentioned that I had traveled for a few years before. I tried all kinds of online programs and things to make money, and I just never stuck with any of them long enough to see results. And I was like, oh, that didn't work. Oh, my first try, that didn't work. And, you know, so many things had to happen from then to now for me to actually stick with something. And I think, again, a lot of that is just seeing so many case studies, seeing so many successful people, and also seeing how beneficial the end result is. You know, it has definitely a lot more upside than any of the other things that I've tried. So that helps with the motivation as well.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, because if you were in a program or you were trying some new business model and nobody in that program or that group was having success, I can see how it would be easy to go into a wormhole and go, man, this maybe just isn't a good business model. The problem with this one, guys, the problem with you being in this group, being on the YouTube channel or being a part of this community, we have hundreds of case studies, hundreds of people. We have people that are from other countries that are speaking English as a second language. We have people that are single moms, single dads, 9-to-5ers. We have people that are blind. Justin Hollins, he has no sight and he's closing deals. People that have sicknesses and like, it's the craziest thing. And it's like, there's just no excuse. When I see that, you know, when I see people that succeed, that's all that I need. And I know that you and I have come from some similar groups. And when I was coming up, trying to get to 100K, I didn't know anyone that had made 100K a month. I knew that the model worked, but I didn't know how high I could scale it because I didn't personally know anybody that was even making money in the model except for just selling the program. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. So for everyone listening right here, we have hundreds of people that are good examples, and me that's done over 100K a month for I don't know how many months, that you can look at and go, okay, it is possible.